every card has some sort of minimum payment on it. So your credit card might say that you're required to pay at least 3% of the balance, at least 4% of the balance, whatever it might be. In the example that we have, which you can find in the description, we're going to say you have to charge at least pay at least 5% of your balance. That's a very small amount in general, and I would strongly encourage you not to put yourself in this situation. Right? Don't charge more than you can afford, and really making the minimum payment is barely putting a dent in things. So let's kind of walk through that scenario though. So in this problem in particular, our minimum payment is 5%, so 0.05, 5% of whatever the balance is. Now at this point our balance is $2,000. So we're required by this card to pay at least $100. Now that doesn't mean that we don't incur charges, so it's the minimum you must pay before some subsequent action is taken by the credit card companies. That's a bad thing. It goes into collection. You really don't want to be there. So because we didn't pay off our entire $2,000 balance, there is going to be a finance charge this month. Now we're assuming that we're not making any other charges, so we had that balance of $2,000. We're not going to make any other charges. We're just going to start to pay it off. So we pay off $100. Great. Except because we didn't pay the whole balance, there's a finance charge. And this is our APR over 12, right, the monthly interest rate. So on this card, our APR is 27%. So we said 0.27 divided by 12. And then we had a balance of 2,000. We made a payment of 100. And then we made no extra charges. So it's really just this amount. So our finance charge for the month ends up being, if we calculate that, ends up being $42.75. So remember, this is just an extra fee, basically, that we get charged for not paying off the whole balance. So we paid off $100, except we're getting $42.75 in fees right back. So almost half of that money just sort of wiped away because we're getting more in fees now. So our new balance, when we take our previous balance, we owed 2,000, and then we paid 100, so we're going to subtract 100. But now we picked up this extra finance charge of $42.75. So unfortunately, our new balance really isn't that different from the old balance. It's $1942.75. Right, our balance started off at 2,000. It only went down a little over $57. So not a big change, especially when we're like, hey, wait a minute, we paid $100. It should go down by 100. Not exactly, right? That's where those finance charges really get you. Okay, we might want to say, great, so this is at the end of a month, right? We made a payment, we have a finance charge, and here's our new balance. And then the next month, we want to know, okay, what's that next minimum payment? Well, it works pretty much the same as Part A. So the card says you've got to pay at least 5%, so 0.05. 5% of whatever the balance is at that point. So at that point, our balance is $1,942.75. So if we do that, our minimum payment, it will go down a little bit because our balance is a little bit smaller than where we started. So that minimum payment is $97.14 if we round. Okay, but again, you can think about how long it's going to take you to pay this off, right? You're making payments. Now these payments are going down, you know, that went down by $3, but it's going to take a long time before your payments reach zero, before you owe nothing. So this minimum payment process is very painstaking, and you end up paying for items multiple times over, in essence, because of these finance charges. So this is a thing you can do, but I strongly suggest you pay more than just the minimum.